Well, this is my 44th of these videos, and it doesn't mean that's from the beginning of the pandemic. It's not. I didn't start these until sometime after that. But 44 weeks, that's a lot. It means that we've been through this and learned what our routines are and got a better sense maybe of who we are with stress and struggle and pandemic and self-isolation and all of these words and concerns for a very long time. It wasn't actually a number of weeks because I think in the beginning I was doing these on Monday and Friday. Now they're just on Monday. But anyway, it's a very long time. And I was thinking about the last message that I shared with you last week, which was essentially saying that I think about each one of us as having, and I've thought about this a lot in the week since then, a blue flame like you'd find under your boiler. You can call that soul, you can call that life force. And if you look under that boiler, your water tank, you want to see a very strong and very distinctly blue flame. Anything less than that isn't secure. And I think the same is true of us. We want to see a tall and brightly blue flame, consistent color in ourselves, in our life force, in our soul, in our energy. And I think what we're finding over time, as I'm telling you, as I've mentioned to you, I've found in relation to many, many people, is that that flame isn't burning as tall nor nearly as strong and as bright, that people are waning, that our energies are waning, that our actual life force is getting weaker in many cases. So that I told you that I've done an inordinate number of funerals. None of them were COVID, but all of them I think were COVID related. People somehow not living as long as they might have, maybe because their mind and body and soul were enduring isolation, the concern about what the future would hold, hopelessness, etc. Well, let me move forward from there. A few weeks ago, my son and I dared to do an adventure, which I guess is always a dare. And we said, let's do a course in free diving in the ocean. Now, free diving, if you don't know, isn't what I love to do, scuba diving, where you take your air down with you to whatever depths. But free diving is where you have weights around your waist, you have a wetsuit on for the cold, a mask and a snorkel, and that's it. And you dive down. Now, people do this down to hundreds and hundreds of feet on a single breath and a single dive. If you've seen a movie that I've been recommending called My Octopus Teacher, note the fact that man is not taking air down with him, but he's spending minutes at a time down there with that octopus, never seeming like he's rushed or panicked because he's not rushed nor panicked. Well, Jonah and I did the course, and the instructor gave us a private lesson. We were on the sand. He taught us how to better breathe, not only with our bellies, but with the fullness of our lungs. And then he taught us all of the safety issues. And he taught us all the science behind free diving, the idea that essentially there's no period of time in which Jonah and I would be on a free dive on a single breath that we would be in ultimate danger of dying. And I think we all think of breath in relation to staying alive, right? Not just the song, but staying alive. So you go in the water and you dive down in the pool, and at a certain point a little panic reaction might happen, and you say, I've got to hit the surface, I've got to get to the top. I've certainly had that experience myself, or I've had the experience where I'm on a scuba dive and I realize I want to get up sooner and I have to take my time so that the bubbles inside me come out slowly so that they can expand just slowly as I alight, as I ascend. Well, let me go back to this free diving. So what happened was, if I ask you, first of all, right now, to hold your breath safely, you'll take in a full breath of air, tighten your lips, and you'll probably last, with healthy lungs, 30 to 40 seconds. Well, in our first attempt, we lasted a minute, not an hour, but a minute and 30, a minute and 45 in Jonah's case. So it does show that you can last a lot longer. So let me tell you a little of what we learned that was interesting on the sand and then in the water. The first thing he said that will happen is you're going to hold your breath, and at a certain point, you're going to have a tightness around your throat, which will tell you you're done, you need to get air, but you don't need to get air. You have plenty of time. Remember, you can go minutes safely. So now, the next thing that will happen after a certain period of time, seconds, is you're going to feel cramping in your belly. And he said, that doesn't mean you've run out of air. It means that your spleen is producing more red blood cells to oxygenate your air. So you're still fine. You can go a long time after that. So he went through these different moments with us, and he said something that I thought was very important. He said, first of all, go into this with relaxation. It's the only way to do it. The whole experience, swimming way out from the shore that we did, had to be done with relaxation. The dive had to be done once we were relaxed and ready to descend. Getting down to the bottom and holding on to something that he'd placed down there had to be done with absolute calm and relaxation. In fact, releasing all tension from our body so that we weren't struggling in any way or kicking too hard. Well, if you see the parallels to your life, it's not by accident. One of the things he said that struck me as really thought-provoking was, he said, I want you guys to get to your anxiety point and to look at it, stare at it, and stay there. He said, you're safe. I promise you. There's no point that I'm going to let you not be safe. Your body will take care of you. All the things that you fear might happen at that anxiety point actually won't happen. That's the science of it. Here's what your throat does to protect you. Here's what your mouth does to protect you. Here's what your body does to keep you alive and safe and well. But how many of us don't trust that? We think of anxiety as being somehow in contradiction to being safe and alive. It's telling us that we're not safe, and yet here is an experience of actual physical anxiety responding to what we perceive to be physical danger, endangerment. And the reality is that when you know that you're safe, you can look at those moments and instead of panicking, instead of going to your smallest, your most constricted, your worst sense of self and your worst experience of yourself that you might later regret, instead we get to stare at that and say, I am safe and I am well and I can move through this. And ultimately, you and I need to know, like the old song, we shall overcome someday. We shall certainly overcome someday. Hatikva in Hebrew, the hope, says never, 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 never despair. Always realize, even in those moments that are inevitably, very humanly anxious, that we need not despair, that we will endure, and that we will, in essence, every single day make that flame stronger and stronger, not weaker and weaker.